So you started in 77? 77. And what was the first match that you did? Like, how did you get into it? Like, did you amateur wrestle?
No, I didn't. I messed around in junior high school, but then by the time I got into high school, I was playing in a rock and roll band.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
What did you play?
Well, I started out playing guitar for several years, and my dad had bought me a guitar. My dad was a construction worker, and he bought me a cheap guitar, and I took guitar lessons. So, through junior high school and stuff, I was playing in these little garage bands on the weekend. And then by the time I got to high school, we were going up to the University of Florida, Gainesville, and playing for the fraternities and having a blast, So I started, playing music that, for many, many years. For 10 years, I played music to make a living, anything to avoid working a real job. And then, I started making good money, When I was in high school, I ended up, having to leave home when I was 17, as per my father's request. And I, lived in a hotel over on Davis Island in Tampa, where they had this kind of like the disco era, like the Tower of Power, the syncopated music, that dun dun dun, that real funky stuff. And I started playing bass in a show band there, and so that just kind of ran its course. And then, at the end of the day, all the rest, when I left for a while and I was traveling on the road and doing session work out of Century Artists in Atlanta, and when I came back, I got like the good drummer from the good high school band in one of the bands, and then I grabbed one of the really good lead singers from another band that was around the area, and kind of like grabbed all the good keyboard players when I was growing up, and we put them all in one band called Ruckus. And there it is right there.
Whoa.
How'd you do that, man?
Jamie's a wizard.
How'd you do that?
Jamie's a wizard.
What's up with that, Willis? How'd you do that? So anyway, that band Ruckus, all the wrestlers started coming in,
Hold on. Is that you in the far left?
I'm in the middle.
Where are you? Oh,
right
there you are. Oh, you're in disguise.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know. That looks like Hulk Hogan.
But he's in the back. Well, the thing is that, like, you're kind of kneeling. That's why I was confused. It looks like you're sitting on something. Yeah. The other guy in front of you is sitting too.
Anyway, all the wrestlers kept coming in, right?
Well, you must have been towering over these dudes, so you probably had a sit.
Yeah, I'd started lifting weights, when I was 18.
Oh.
And I was...
Which is unusual for a band,
Oh, there's
right?
another band, yeah.
Look at that. Look at you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of like a funky little disco-type band I was in.
I remember very clearly when I was a kid watching Rocky III and watching you in Rocky III and saying, like, what the fuck do you do if someone's that big? Because this is like during my martial arts days, and I remember watching that movie going, there's nothing you're doing. You're not doing anything. If he's getting old, you're so fucked. That's
crazy.
It was so wild.
That's crazy.
It was so in tribute to pro wrestling too, even the way you talked to him after the match.
Yeah,
it's like he thought it was real. He didn't know what the fuck was going on, and after he was like, "Hey, that was a good job." Like, and it sort of let everybody know a little, maybe one of the first ever windows behind the scenes where you could see what the top flight pro wrestlers actually do. Like, you can call it fake, but it's not. There's nothing fake happening. It's like it's just orchestrated, or at least there's a predetermined outcome. But the fucking physicality. It's bananas.
Well, I got to give it to Stallone. He took all the hits and all the bumps, and
he was an animal.
Yeah, I kind of messed his collarbone up, by accident. But he was amazing. I mean, I remember when I was going to go do that film, Vince McMahon Sr. fired me because of that movie.
What?
I'd got the call.
I didn't know there was a senior.
Oh yeah, Vince Sr. That's what I started working for, brother. Yeah, Vince McMahon.
So it's not the Vince McMahon that's an old guy now.
No,
his dad was the star.
When I first went to New York in '78, Vince McMahon Sr. had a couple, Phil Zacco and a couple partners, and Vinny Jr. had one building, I think, in Cape Cod, and Vince would come in once every 3 weeks. He'd hold a stick like Mean Gene, So when I first started there, 70, and however long I lasted till probably mid '80s, and I told Vince Sr. I got this crazy call to come out and do a Stallone movie. First, I was in the dressing room, and Gorilla Monsoon gave me the note. I'm like, yeah, right. I threw it away because, Stallone was like 150 feet tall in the public's eyes. And I saw Rocky 1 and Rocky 2. I was like, oh, my God. So I said, yeah, another wrestling joke, like pooping in my bag or putting lots on my stuff, So I split to Japan for like 8 weeks. And when I came back again to TV again in Allentown, they handed me a Western Union letter, this time from Stallone. So I flew out there and talked with him and got in the ring with him and did a couple things. If you want to hear about that, that's a little different. But
what would you do?
Well, when I went out there, I just had my nose broke in Japan for like the second or third time. And when I went out there, I was so enamored and such a fan of his. He goes, he had a guy with one of those big cameras, old school cameras, when I came in. So I knew I was on camera, so at least I knew that much back then. And so he goes, hey, let's just get in the ring and move around. I had jeans on and cowboy boots. He goes, oh, let's just get in the ring like this. So he goes, I'm going to try to hit you. I said, well, if you want to, you can hit me in the nose, because I saw the camera. I thought it'd be cool if he splattered my nose. That's how crazy I was.
This is right after nose surgery?
No, I didn't have nose surgery. It was right after I had my nose broken.
Oh, you just had it broken again.
Yeah,
okay.
I flew back to TV.
I'm just assuming you had it fixed.
No, Andre Andre would fix everything for you.
Yeah.
He'd just stand right behind you with the thumbs and push everything down. But so I got in the ring. He goes, try to hit me, And so when he went to hit me, I just grabbed him. I said, I don't want to hit you. He goes, well, hit me. Give me everything you have. I said, no, brother, you don't want that. I said, there's a certain place I can hit you harder than others, but if I hit you as hard as I can, it's not going to be cool. He goes, well, give me 50%. I went, I really don't want to. I said,
what is going on with Sylvester?
No. He was, because they were filming this whole thing. Right? So I said, well, you try to hit me, I'll grab you, I'll bend you over, and I hammer you between the shoulders. And I hit him. I probably gave him 50%. And as soon as I made contact, his face hit my cowboy boots. And he came up, and his lip was bleeding. He said, oh, that's perfect, that's perfect. And so he was all excited, just because I hit him.
What a psycho.
Yeah, and then we got out of the ring, and he goes, you're a fake wrestler. Boxers can kick a wrestler's ass anytime. Get mad. So he wanted me to do an interview, right? So I did, let me tell you something, that whole stick. So he goes, I want you for the film. And I've never had an agent. I've never been in a movie. I don't know anything. He goes, I'll give you $10,000 to do the film. Me being the negotiation genius that I am, I want 15. I want 15 grand. So he gave me $14,000, and I signed whatever.
Oh my God, he bargained with you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I signed.
What the fuck, Sly? You're stealing.
Yeah, so I signed whatever he wanted back in the day, and that was it. But
how rude.
Yeah, but
you
no.
wouldn't even give him the 50. That's some negotiation bullshit right there.
But to go backwards, I had called Vince McMahon Sr. that night from Fall River, Massachusetts.